Yo, what is up, guys? We are live. We're going to be talking about mixed martial arts and a great sport that I love to watch. Thoroughly entertained by it. Follow the UFC and been watching it for a very, very long time. But a topic came up about race. Well, it's always been a big thing, but it's been shied away from the media part, especially in the UFC. They don't talk about it because they don't want to promote that. So, um, most recently, Tyron Woodley, amazing fighter, welterweight class. He is the current champion. He's getting ready to fight at UFC 209 against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, Part 2. It was a very good fight, the first fight. But they were sitting down on the fight. I think it was Fight TV or they're sitting. It was no, it was I think it was Fox Sports, Fighters Live, and they were talking about the upcoming fight and stuff like that, and debating. These two have a lot of respect for each other, but they definitely don't let words, um, you know, they don't let words go. But they have a ton of respect for each other. But Tyron Woodley basically stated that every time he brings up the race uh, issue of race, he's considered a race baiter, and all this and that, and he's always getting you know clowned for it. But he brought up some really good points about how certain fighters are treated in the sport versus others. Now, specifically, he was talking about the situation with their first fight and how he was not promoted equally or even better than Stephen Wonderboy Thompson was for that upcoming fight. And actually, he had some really, really good merit there because I remember watching um, the first fight, and it was like it was at Madison Square Garden, and they were hyping everybody up. They were hyping up specifically Chris Weidman and Wonderboy Thompson. Definitely hyping those two up because they have a relationship outside of the ring. Wonderboy and Weidman. Um, I think Wonderboy or Weidman is married to Wonderboy's sister, I believe. Um, and so like the whole promotion wrapped around those two as the All American, whatever the fuck All American means. I mean, we're all Americans, so but they're the all quote unquote American. Um, and that brought up a lot of issues, and I noticed that that was a key point that they kept putting on specifically on Wonderboy, uh, naming him as this All American, and it was kind of disrespecting. I thought. Uh, because I don't understand. I never heard them say anything about All American Tyron Woodley. I mean, he's All American, he's the champion, but they don't refer to him as such. It seems like they only refer to white males as All American if they belong to the United States in the fighting community. I don't get it. I don't necessarily even know what that means, but like I said, Tyron Woodley brought up some other good issues as far as other fighters. The only other fighter that I can think of that was treated um, seemed like he was treated like he should, and even sometimes he disagrees was Anderson Silva, and you know I think he was probably the exception. But as far as people like Demetrius Johnson, who's been the flyweight champion for forever, you know what I mean? Guy is hasn't lost in years. He's the pound for pound best fighter that they own in the world. Period. But he still continues. They still keep him fighting on free cards. Fox Sports One. I haven't seen this guy on a pay per view in I don't even know how long, and they just don't promote the guy. They don't promote him, and part of that, I'm not saying all of that is due to race. A lot of it is due that he's black, and they can't find a guy to actually beat him. His last fight, they put so much promotion into that guy that he fought, white guy that he fought was who was really really good actually. They put so much promotion into that guy. Um, that, like I said, they just left him. They left Demetrius Johnson in the dust, man, and he does not get what he deserves. He doesn't make what he should make. He doesn't have the endorsement deals like the others have. I mean, John Jones got praised, but as soon as he got in trouble, they were the first ones to throw him under the bus. Granted that he threw himself under the bus by his actions, can't deny that. But it just seems like they're quick to paint people in a negative light, but they don't highlight you in a positive light. And you know what I'm saying? It's just it's really really bad. It's really really bad. And I think he has a point that fighters don't get color, don't get what they deserve as far as the others. And doesn't mean that they have to be black. They can be. I mean, that's what they have. Plenty of Brazilian champions, Cubans. I mean, like I said, it goes on, and the people of this sport. If you watch the UFC, a lot of the guys that get the most of the recognition are white guys. I watch the sport pretty thoroughly, and that's what I see. I see those guys getting the best possible promotion in the company. Um, that's just how I see it. That's how it is. That's a fact. But I don't know. What do you guys think about this? Do you feel like it is an issue, or is it something that you never really noticed before? Because I'm going to be quite honest. Before seeing the this full interview that they did, you know, I questioned it, but I never really thought about it out loud. And then as he said that, it started, I started jogging some memories, and I'm just started thinking about stuff how I thought it was weird, but I never really, I never really questioned it. But and being somebody who doesn't actively fight, I mean, these guys have an insight that none of us see. And whether you like to believe it or not, promotion is a huge, huge thing. It's how they get things done. It's how these fighters make money. The promotion is a huge ordeal. And Dana White has been quoted saying some things off the record, not necessarily about race, but about marketability. So I want to also throw that in there as well, that a lot of it can play on the race thing. Like, as for instance, with Tyron Woodley, when Robbie Lawler had the belt, the welterweight belt, he won that justly, and he owned that belt. Every fight that he got the best promotion that he could get, and they really hyped up his fights. When he fight Tyron Woodley, they rarely had anything to say about Tyron Woodley. They kind of made it like this is a one man show pretty much. They didn't really give Tyron Woodley that space. They gave him a bit of promotion, but they didn't really delve into his character. Like, if you look at Tyron Woodley, you probably think that he's just a hardworking blank slate. I mean, they haven't created an image around him. And so people knew about him if you're in the fight community, but people who haven't seen him or seen him fight before, they don't know who this guy is. And therefore, they saw him win the belt, but the UFC dropped the ball because they didn't actively try to create a persona for him, or they're in charge of promotion. They're in charge of letting people who don't know who he is, and people who know a little bit about him, they haven't done anything to help shape who they would like him to be. And people will probably disagree with me when I say that I think one thing that the UFC could use, or the sport could use, that makes WWE so successful is they probably need some managers, or some type of the people that the WWE use to help create character personas, and help develop characters. And people will probably jump on me and say, "Oh, hell no, we don't need this. This is a real sport." It doesn't mean that the combat has to be any less real. In fact, I'm not even talking about the combat at all. I'm talking about the way that the WWE creates characters and personas for each of the members that they have under the organization umbrella, and how they have been so successful and grafting and creating these different personas to go along with different stories that they write that are played out in the ring. I kind of feel like the UFC has gotten to the point with all of the super fight talk that was going on years ago to the money fights now, and basically, even though Sean Shelby and them are making these fights, they're no longer really making these fights based on the ranking. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that, but I've noticed that a lot. A lot of the fights that are going on now in the past 2 years are not fights that are necessarily because of the ranking standards, meaning that if I'm a true contestant number one contender, a true number one contender, why am I not fighting for the belt? If you look at Nurmagomedov, for example, he's Russian, he's Muslim, and a very outspoken one, very outspoken Muslim. And this guy has been not even arguably, he has been the number one contender for like 2 years, 2 or 3 years in a row. Why they haven't given this guy a title shot yet in the division that Conor McGregor's in is beyond me. Now, he has had some injuries that took him out for a while, but each time that he's come back, they put him against some scrub and he destroys them. Why hasn't he gotten a title shot yet? They're just now going to give him a title shot at UFC 208. I believe February or March? February, I believe. I believe it's in February. UFC 208, where he's fighting El Kukui, Tony Ferguson. And even then, it's like, why aren't they letting this guy who has dominated the sport, dominated his division, which Conor McGregor's in, the lightweight division. I'm like, why haven't they put this guy out there? Like, he is the shit. Why haven't they put him out there? And I think the reason why is because like I said, they're looking at not only the color of your skin, but what makes you marketable. And because Nurmagomedov is a Russian Muslim, who strikes against them already, because here in America, we don't like Russians or Muslims. At least that's how they make it seem. They don't really have any incentive on promoting this guy's, his persona. And because they're probably afraid of the backlash that they're going to get. And it's really, really sad because the guy is such a tremendous fighter. And those guys are actually hoping that somebody like him never gets the belt. That he never gets the belt, because once he gets the belt, his speaking power, his public presence is now going to be magnified that much more. And anything that he says in that position, they're going to have to be prepared to damage control and deal with, especially if he brings, some upsetting things to the table as far as issues. He's already brought up issues as far as like the ring girls being in there while he's in there, or people trying to take pictures with him while while the ring girls are in their bathing suits. He's a devout Muslim, so he doesn't feel like women should dress modestly, and he's not going to pose for any pictures with any woman who's not dressed modestly. And the UFC cannot handle that damage control. Most of the fight fans are probably like redneck, uninformed about anything religious or anything like that. You can see any kind of fighter that goes in there and talks about God or anything at the, after he wins a match, and people kind of like look side to side like, what is he doing? Why is he talking about God in the middle of a match? Like, we don't want to hear that. We came to hear fucking fight, die. They want to hear that about violence. They don't want to hear anything that has to do with wisdom or God in the ring. And like I said, I think part of it has to do, like I said, with your color. The other part has to do with marketability. And going back to the original Tyron Woodley, I feel is a blank canvas who doesn't really have much personality on the screen. A great fighter, but there's nothing there that they have done to make him marketable. When you look at Conor McGregor, He's marketable. He's loud. He's he's out there. You know, he's like Floyd Mayweather. You know what I mean? And the UFC and MMA are looking for somebody that could be as brash and loud as a Mayweather in their sport. They need somebody like that. You know, they tried with the Diaz brothers, but again, the Diaz brothers are Hispanic. Um, Mainstream media can't they can't relate to them because they're Hispanic. The fighters and the fight community can, but when they're trying to reach a broad network of people, they can't really. The people can't really. How am I going to get the average white family or average um, white person or white family to watch UFC if I put it on Fox Sports One? If they tune in and they see the Diaz brothers or Tyron Woodley or Nurmagomedov or Demetrius Johnson, if they see them and they say that they're champions, they see them as champions, they're automatically inclined probably not to even care much because they would want to see one of their own. So as soon as you get a guy like a Conor McGregor who's white, he's Irish, but he's white, he's outspoken, talks a lot of shit, he can back it up, and you put him as a champion, all of a sudden you have all of this buzz. That's fact enough that this guy, he has star power. He has the power to bring people in. And that's why they love him, because he can bring people in. People who weren't that interested before, they can now look at the TV and be like, who's this white guy with all these tattoos who's a badass? Like, now I'm interested. Now they want to watch. So he gets all the press. We had like somebody when he fought Jose Aldo. Aldo had the belt for forever, but Jose Aldo he's Brazilian. He doesn't speak very good English, if any at all. He's not very marketable because people tuning in to watch, unless you're in the fight community, you don't really know about him and nobody really cares. And so he can't really identify with the people that the UFC wants to bring in as far as viewers. So like I said, it has a lot to do with race, and it has a lot to do with marketability. And that's the issue today. Tell me what you think. Thought I was going to end this a long time ago, but now I'm going to end it now. Appreciate it. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I want to hear what you guys have to say. Peace.